Welcome, curious minds, to a world of knowledge and discovery. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here as we tackle Ophelia painting. Ophelia is a painting by British artist Sir John Everett Millais in the collection of Tate Britain, London. It depicts Ophelia, a character from William Shakespeare's play Hamlet, singing before she drowns in a river. The work encountered a mixed response when first exhibited at the Royal Academy, but has since come to be admired as one of the most important works of the mid-19th century for its beauty, its accurate depiction of a natural landscape, and its influence on artists from John William Waterhouse and Salvador to Peter Blake, Ruscha and Friedrich Heyser. With the foundation laid, let's embark on a journey into theme and elements. The painting depicts Ophelia singing while floating in a river just before she drowns. The scene is described in Act 4, Scene VII of Hamlet in a speech by Queen Gertrude. The episode depicted is not usually seen on stage, as in Shakespeare's text it exists only in Gertrude's description. Out of her mind with grief, Ophelia has been making garlands of wildflowers. She climbs into a willow tree overhanging a brook to dangle some from its branches, and a bough breaks beneath her. She lies in the water singing songs, as if unaware of her danger, incapable of her own distress. Her clothes, trapping air, have allowed her to temporarily stay afloat, her clothes spread wide, and, mermaid-like, a while they bore her up. But eventually, her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay down to muddy death. Ophelia's death has been praised as one of the most poetically written death scenes in literature. Ophelia's poser open arms and upwards gaze also resembles traditional portrayals of saints or martyrs, but has also been interpreted as erotic. The painting is known for its depiction of the detailed flora of the river and the riverbank, stressing the patterns of growth and decay in a natural ecosystem. Despite its nominal Danish setting, the landscape has come to be seen as quintessentially English. Ophelia was painted along the banks of the Hogsmill River in Surrey, near Tolworth. Barbara Webb, a resident of nearby Old Malden, devoted much time to finding the exact placement of the picture, and according to her research, the scene is located at 6 Acre Meadow, alongside Church Road, Old Malden. Millais Road is now nearby. Millais's close colleague William Holman Hunt was at the time working on his The Hireling Shepherd nearby. The flowers shown floating on the river were chosen to correspond with Shakespeare's description of Ophelia's garland. They also reflect the Victorian interest in the language of flowers, according to which each flower carries a symbolic meaning. The prominent red poppinet mentioned by Shakespeare's description of the scheme represents sleep and death. At an early stage in the painting's creation, Millais painted a water vole an assistant had fished out of the Hogsmill paddling next to Ophelia. In December 1851, he showed the unfinished painting to Holman Hunt's relatives. He recorded in his diary, Hunt's uncle and aunt came, both of whom understood most gratifyingly every object except my water rat. The male relation, when invited to guess at it, eagerly pronounced it to be a hare. Perceiving by our smiles that he had made a mistake, a rabbit was then hazarded, after which I have a faint recollection of a dog or a cat being mentioned. Millais painted the water vole out of the final picture, although a rough sketch of it still exists in an upper corner of the canvas hidden by its frame. In keeping with the tenets of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood PRB, of which he was a member, Millais used bright colors, gave high attention to detail and faithful truth to nature. This rendition of Ophelia is the epitome of the PRB style, first, because of the subject matter, depicting a woman who has lived a life awaiting happiness, only to find her destiny on the verge of death. The vulnerable woman is a popular subject among Pre-Raphaelite artists. Also, Millais utilizes bright, intense colors in the landscape to make the pale Ophelia contrast with the nature behind her. All this is evident in the vivid attention to detail in the brush and trees around Ophelia, the contouring of her face, and the intricate work Millais did on her dress. Now, let's redirect our focus towards painting process and discover its significance in our narrative. Millais produced Ophelia in two separate stages. He first painted the landscape, and secondly the figure of Ophelia. Having found a suitable setting for the picture, Millais remained on the banks of the Hogsmill River in a well within a literal stone's throw where fellow pre-Raphaelite William Holman Hunt painted the light of the world for up to 11 hours a day, 6 days a week, over a 5-month period in 1851. This allowed him to accurately depict the natural scene before him. Millais encountered various difficulties during the painting process. He wrote in a letter to a friend, "The flies of Surrey are more muscular, and have a still greater propensity for probing human flesh. I am threatened with a notice to appear before a magistrate for trespassing in a field and destroying the hay, and am also in danger of being blown by the wind into the water." Certainly the painting of a picture under such circumstances would be greater punishment to a murderer than hanging. By November 1851, the weather had turned windy and snowy. Millais oversaw the building of a hut made of 4 hurdles, like a sentry box, covered outside with straw. According to Millais, sitting inside the hut made him feel like Robinson Crusoe. William Holman Hunt was so impressed by the hut that he had an identical one built for himself. Ophelia was modelled by artist and muse Elizabeth Siddal, then 19 years old. Millais had Siddal lie fully clothed in a full bathtub in his studio at 7 Gower Street in London. As it was now winter, he placed oil lamps under the tub to warm the water, but was so intent on his work that he allowed them to go out. As a result, Siddal caught a severe cold, and her father later sent Millais a letter demanding £50 for medical expenses. According to Millais's son, he eventually accepted a lower sum. In the upcoming portion, we'll be dissecting reception to gain a comprehensive understanding of its implications. When Ophelia was first publicly exhibited at the Royal Academy in London in 1852, it was not universally acclaimed. A critic in the Times wrote that there must be something strangely perverse in an imagination which souses Ophelia in a weedy ditch, and robs the drowning struggle of that loveland maiden of all pathos and beauty, while a further review in the same newspaper said that Mr. Millais's Ophelia in her pool makes us think of a dairymaid in a frolic. Even the great art critic John Ruskin, an avid supporter of Millais, while finding the technique of the painting exquisite, expressed doubts about the decision to set it in a Surrey landscape and asked, "Why the mischief should you not paint pure nature, and not that rascally wire-fenced garden rolled nursery maid's paradise?" In the 20th century, Salvador wrote glowingly in an article published in a 1936 edition of the French Surrealist journal Minotaur about the artistic movement that inspired the painting. How could Salvador fail to be dazzled by the flagrant surrealism of English pre-Raphaelitism? The pre-Raphaelite painters bring us radiant women who are, at the same time, the most desirable and most frightening that exist. He later went on to reinterpret Millais's painting in a 1973 work entitled Ophelia's Death. In 1906, Japanese novelist Natsume Seki called the painting a thing of considerable beauty in his novel Kusamukura. Since then, the painting has been highly popular in Japan. It was exhibited in Tokyo in 1998 and traveled there again in 2008. In this part of the video, we'll be diving deep into influence and unraveling its profound impact. The painting has been widely referred to and passed in art, film, and photography, notably in Laurence Olivier's 1948 film Hamlet, where it formed the basis for the portrayal of Ophelia's death. The sleeve of the 1971 psychedelic folk album Beautiful Lies You Could Live In by Tom Rapp and Pearls Before Swine reproduces the painting. A scene in Wes Craven's 1972 film The Last House on the Left was modelled on the painting, while the video for Nick Cave's song Where the Wild Roses Grow depicts Kylie Minogue mimicking the pose of the image. The artwork is also referenced in Fire with Fire, a 1986 film in which a schoolgirl is replicating the central image as the protagonists meet. The imagery of the painting is evoked in the prologue of Lars von Trier's 2011 film Melancholia, where Kirsten Dunst's character Justine floats in a slow-moving stream. In this section, we'll be shedding light on provenance and valuation and its impact on our understanding of the subject. Ophelia was purchased from Millais on 10 December 1851 by the art dealer Henry Forrer for 300 guineas, approximately equal to £40,000 sterling in 2020. Forrer sold the painting to B.G. Windus, an avid collector of pre-Raphaelite art, who sold it on in 1862 for 748 guineas. The painting is held at Tate Britain, London, and is valued by experts as worth at least £30 sterling million. I hope you learned something new today. Let me know what you found most interesting in the comments below.